All right, welcome to episode 3 of Education in Color. Today I'm joined here by Cornell, better known as DJ Whutever. Please introduce yourself.
I'm here. What's going on, man? Like, as you introduced me, Cornell, aka DJ Whutever, Mr. Whatever It Takes. I'm here, man. What's going on? How you doing?
This is perfect. I'm already loving the energy for this episode because I know this is just going to be great. So let's just dive right into the first question, which is, what was your educational experience like growing up? And what was your relationship with education and schooling in general?
That's a good question. Great way to start it off, man. My education experience in New York was great, man. I grew up in the South Bronx. I went to a private school. My mother's side of the family is from the Virgin Islands, so I was actually in a school, run by a Caribbean principal that was from the same island as my mom, St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. And I went there from kindergarten to 8th grade, and it was good, man. Mixed in with all of the culture and the music and everything in the South Bronx. Like, it was good. I had fun in school, man. We wore, like I said, I went to a private school, so I had a uniform every day. So that's why still to today, I feel comfortable in a suit and tie. It was good. And today, education, it's still super important, in my life, man. Like, it's everything. Like, daily I'm educating myself still on, I'm no longer in the actual classrooms learning stuff, but I'm still learning different things on ways to invest and just different things that I want to learn. And I got a kid, so a 10-year-old, so I'm always implementing stuff with him, just learn. So it's been cool.
And it's pretty dope. You mentioned that the private school that you went to, the principal was also from the islands as well, right?
Yes.
So that means, so I'm gonna assume that some of the staff members probably were people of color as well, then, correct?
Definitely.
Oh, that's dope.
The school was filled with people of color. You know what I mean?
So then, in that case, have you ever had a male teacher of color growing up? And if so, who stood out the most and why?
Oh, I did. God rest his soul. I had a teacher, because I went to, the school was called Melrose Community School in the Bronx on Brook Avenue. And I had a teacher named Mr. Lee. He recently passed away, but he's a male teacher that stood out to me. Strong black man, which was great for me to see, even though, at that time I had my father in my life that was super strong as well and intelligent. But it was good to see and to have a strong man of color that was teaching me and instilling other values in me. So it was huge to have a black, man of color as an educator growing up.
And then in terms of like your creative endeavors growing up, since now you do DJing and then you have other, facets of your business, did you feel supported growing up in your creative endeavors?
Oh, definitely. For me, that all started at home, with my mom and my dad. Like, anything that I wanted to pursue, like, starting out, like, I don't know if we mentioned that I DJ for the Mets, but my first love was baseball growing up. So even before music, I was a baseball fanatic and even played baseball into college. But everything that I wanted to do, man, like, my parents supported it. That's why I still give all the credit to my parents and my grandmother, who were, listened to music and also played sports. Like, anything I wanted to do, I had the right to do it. So, I'm glad that they supported me, and that's played a huge role in my success now.
And it seemed like, from what you're telling me about your upbringing, your parents also had a very close relationship with the school that you went to, and it seemed, you said it was a community school, right?
Yeah.
So then I guess, how did it feel being in a community school? Did you feel like they gave back to, let's say, the people that went there, the parents as well, by giving them the tools they needed to ensure that children would get the support at home as well?
Oh, definitely. I think I think I got all the tools that I needed. My dad, he used to be on every school trip.
Yeah.
He was at everything, from every bake sale to he was super dad. He was the dad that everybody wanted to hang out with and climb on top of, and so the school was heavily involved in the community, man. So it was, like I said, it was called Melrose Community School. So we did a lot of stuff in the Bronx and went out and did different things in the community. we used to go to the park and hang out and play. So we did a lot. So, I give a lot of the credit to the school that I was in, as well as, man, my parenting and my upbringing.
And then when did you really start getting into DJing? Like, when did you realize, like, damn, this is something I love. I want to keep pursuing it.
So growing up in the Bronx, and having the Caribbean descent, like whether I was at my grandmother's house, man, or whether I was at home, like it was nothing but music playing. My mom used to, on Sundays, she would have the vibes. I would wake up to, WBLS playing or Luther Vandross, or if I go to my grandmother's house, she had the OJs on. It was always music involved. So for me, I always knew I loved music, but it wasn't until I was in high school when I went to a friend's house. One of my friends named, I still rock with him, heavy DJ K-Dubs, and he was DJing, man, and a light bulb just went off. That was still the days where you had the vinyl records, and he was DJing back and forth, and I'm just sitting in his room just looking like, what is this? Like, I need in. And from there, I asked my mother for a set of turntables for Christmas. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, she always supported anything that I wanted to do. And she was like, all right, cool. And we went, found a pair of turntables in Brooklyn, and that was all she wrote. I learned, and I just became an addict, man. Just went into college, took my turntables with me to college, was DJing all over the place, and just kept on going, man, until I got an internship where I'm still at iHeart Radio, and that's all she wrote. Been working there, ever since, and climbed the ladder to the point that I was able to be on air and, be traveling the world doing what I love. So that's pretty much a quick synopsis to how the DJ stuff came. But music was always, man, always heavy in my life. So it was God, that put that love, in me, especially once I got to college and realized I couldn't hit a fastball. So I needed to, so the baseball dreams kind of died. I needed to do something else. So that was it.
And, I got like two things to say about that. One, some of the guests that I've had like in the past, when I talk about like their educational upbringing growing up and the whole, I guess, community they had, some of them had, let's say, none. Some of them had a little bit. But I think you're one of my guests who have actually had a lot of community growing up, whether it's in the school or whether it's your actual family. And it shows in what you're talking about in your journey. Because when you have that support system, you have that community, like you said, you always felt empowered to do anything. You could just be like, yeah, you know what? Let me get them turntables and let me just do all this stuff, because you know that you have that support system behind you. How did that make you feel? I mean, I guess growing up, is it a different feeling versus looking back at it now?
Yeah, like, you're good. You're good. These are some good questions this guy's asking. But, man, honestly, like, you have me just thinking about it now, reflecting now, like, thinking back on it, like, I just feel blessed, man, because I always felt supported. You get what I mean? I always felt supported, whether it was in school, whether it was like, I always bring everything back to at home. I always felt loved. I always felt supported. I always felt like I had what I needed to be free and to succeed. So looking back on it, like, I'm just thankful, man, because, my whole journey, like, of course, you have your trials and your tribulations with achieving any level of success, but the level of support that I felt as a kid and growing up and even deciding to pursue what it is that I decided to pursue, like, it was all love, man.
And you mentioned you had an internship with iHeartRadio in college that then turned into what your relationship is with them now. Can you walk us through how that came to be? Okay,
so senior year, so I went to two colleges, Mitchell College in New London, Connecticut. Shout to Mitchell College. I'm on the board of directors up there, so I'm still heavily involved.
And she had to casually flex on us, right? Yeah, I'm on the board of directors
over
there.
I'm on the board, man. So we doing a lot of stuff up in Mitchell. And then at the time when I went there, it was a 2-year college. And then, I transferred to Hofstra University.
Oh.
Yeah, Hofstra University from there. So, I'm obviously DJing all over the campus. I'm doing my thing. Everybody knows I was an RA, and you know, I had the loudest music on the floor. My whole room had the turntables, speakers, everything. And you know, I knew I always wanted to be on radio, man. Growing up listening to guys like Cool DJ Red Alert, Marley Marl, Funkmaster Flex, all these guys, I knew, man, I wanted to be on radio. So I actually got an internship at Hot 97 first. That internship didn't go too well. It ended. I don't even remember how it ended, but I know it ended. So I was going into my last semester at Hofstra, and I got an internship at Power 105, you know, iHeart Radio, where I'm still at to this day. And internship went amazing. I think that's why I try to talk to these kids about exposure. And you know, that's even when I speak at a lot of the high schools or grammar schools or elementary schools, I talk to these kids just about being exposed to different opportunities, because I don't think I realized that I could make a living being a DJ until I was actually around people who were successful. You got to think about it. Like my mom or everybody I knew, they didn't know any successful DJs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they didn't know them. So until I got to be around them, it's like a kid who wants to be an actor. The best thing that can happen for a kid who wants to be an actor is he gets to hang around actors.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Because who knows what he's going to be hearing on the outside about him wanting to be an actor. He might hear that he can't achieve it just because other people are putting their limitations on him because they don't know any actors. So for me, my internship kind of changed my world, man. I got to be around DJs who were actually successful. I got to meet guys like Cool DJ Red Alert, who I idolized as a kid, and who was able to teach me the game, and guys like my man DJ Cut, you know, who actually showed me the game and gave me an opportunity and showed me the ropes. So interned there, graduated from college, and then, you know, from there, I came back home to the Bronx because I didn't get hired by iHeart right from my internship. Okay. I went back home, you know, you graduate in May, and I was home until November, but I pretty much harassed them to hire me.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Which is another thing that I talk to these kids about, like being, like pursuing what you want, like staying strong, like actually going after what you want. I didn't send one email or make one phone call and because I didn't get a response say, all right, I guess I'll give up on this. No, I reached out probably about every week, every 2 weeks for about 8 months. Saying, hey, remember me? Are you guys hiring for the street team? I want to be the guy that drives the truck around. And I don't care if you're paying me $6 an hour. Like, I want to be around it again. I want to be around the stuff that I was around as an intern. You got to think about it. I was like 21, 22 years old. I don't care how much money I'm making. I'm living at home. You get what I mean? But the dream was to be around what it was that I wanted to be around. So make a long story short, they ended up hiring me after about 5 interviews. I would have went on 10, 15 interviews. It didn't really matter. Ended up getting hired. Then I was working the street team. My guy, DJ Cut, eventually gave me an opportunity to move into production. And then eventually I just stayed around until I got the opportunity to actually DJ on air. So, you know, I know that was kind of long.
Nah,
but
it was great because the two things that stood out to me was the persistence and exposure. Because when you talk about the persistence, I just thought about myself because when it came to this role, I did the same shit. I was harassing them nonstop. I just kept emailing Shamir like, yo, are you going to hire me? Yeah. I wrote a cover letter. I was emailing all these people. And sometimes I wouldn't get a response for a month, 2 months, whatever. But eventually, it happened.
Bro, that's what it takes, man. That's why I want our kids, I want our youth, I want everybody to know, you know, even people who aren't, you could be 50 years old, more older than that. If you want something, you go get it, man. You don't let somebody, you know, tell you no, you can't achieve something. You go after it. So I love hearing your story as well, how you did it, because bro, that's what I did, and that's still kind of what I do now. You know what I mean? Even in, you know, entering the education space with the DJ Academy, and working with different agencies with people with disabilities, it's the same thing, man. I gotta break down new doors, people who don't care about who DJ Whutever is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
and the exposure piece was important too, because like for me personally, when I entered this education space, I joined New York City Men Teach in 2017 as a participant, worked with them part-time, and the people that I met like prior, so with my family, I had 4 career options. I had doctor, lawyer, engineer, or black sheep. So I was just like, all right, now I want to do education. I'm not gonna lie, they clowned me a little bit for it in the beginning. But then when I was able to put myself in these spaces with other educators, not just in the classroom, but higher ed administration, people who have a hand to play with policy, etc. Then I realized, I'm like, wait, you could be really successful in education, you could do all this, but it was the exposure that gave me that empowerment to be like, yeah, I can do this shit too. But then eventually, when you get that exposure, you always want to give it back. So it's like what you do with your academy. Similarly, I'll do whenever I go to these recruitment events or meet these collegiate level students, high school level students, give them that same level of exposure to really have them understand what can be there for them if they're also persistent. Because that's the other thing that I noticed. Everyone that I was around, all the successful people, they were all persistent as hell. They would always tell me their come up stories, and it was the same shit. It would just be, I kept asking until I got, because one of them told me, like, a closed mouth don't get fed.
That's it. I agree with you, man. Like, that's what you got to do. You got to go after it. You got to go after it. Pursue what you want,
And then, talking about a little bit, because you mentioned some of, you said DJ Red Alert was one of, like, the dudes you idolized, and he kind of, like, showed you the game. That ties in with my next question, which was, who are some of your mentors or inspirations in the field?
Oh, man. I mean, first and foremost, shout out my man, DJ Cut. He was a guy that showed me the ropes early. Like, we laugh. I remember going to a club with him. I was young, man, in the game, and he DJ'd like a prom event. And I'm at that point, man, I'm super young. So so seeing money and seeing cash, that meant a lot to me. You know what I mean? And I saw him DJ a party that he had me help him DJ. And I saw how much cash he got, man. It couldn't even fit in his pocket, bro. It was a wallet. And I said, you just got that from doing this? You know what I mean? But, that first got my attention doing an event. But separate from that, man, just the gems that he laid on me about the DJ game, similar to cool DJ Red Alert. Some of the gems that they laid on me and taught me and ways to maneuver and ways to maneuver, with respect, man, and not be somebody who's kisses ass and moves like a backstabber. You get what I mean? Like I try to move through this game, man, with integrity, the way I try to move in life. And I feel like that's always been who I am, but at the end of the day, I learned a lot of that from guys like that who showed me how to maneuver and just, be a man about yours and go after what you want. So definitely salute to guys like that. And there were other people as well, you know what I mean? But those are 2 guys that really stick out to me in the actual DJ entertainment world that kind of took me under their wing and showed me a lot.
And it's funny because one of the questions I was going to ask is, like, how has it been with working with iHeart Media and Radio thus far, and your relationship with them? Because I know that originally they had you work with us too, New York City Men Teach, like 5, 6, 7 years ago, and what have you. So I guess just kind of like tell us how that came to be.
My relationship with iHeart is tremendous. You know what I mean? Like, I've grown with them. Like I said, I mentioned that I've been with them since I was like 19 years old. You know what I mean? So I've become a man through that whole time. You know what I mean? I've seen different phases, seen different, bunch of different highs, lows, everything. So my relationship with them is tremendous. Like you mentioned, the opportunity came about through iHeart for me to work with NYC Men's Teach about 7-8 years ago. I believe NYC Men's Teach might have been doing some advertisement with iHeart, so they sent me out to. I think they might have sent me out first to like DJ an event, and then I ended up getting connected with a few people, and they were like, "Hey, how about having DJ Whutever speak to a class?" And I was all for it because they know how much education means to me, and you know, and my history in education, and the things that I was, you know, trying to pursue. So at the same time, you know, NYC Men's Teach has been instrumental in my role, which is why I'm happy. You know, I'm partnered up with you guys, and hopefully gonna do a lot more work, you know, with you guys and the team. So, you know, the iHeart connection on that was beautiful, but at the same time, I also love, you know, working there and doing everything that I'm doing for them on all the different stations, you know, from Power 105 to Z100 to KTU. I'm on Jammin' 94.5 in Boston. So I do a bunch of different stuff for iHeartRadio.
How many stations are you on, like, in total?
Ah, man, it all depends. Like right now, it's primarily Power 105 and Jammin' 94.5, but I do a bunch of different appearances for all the different radio stations, and you know, if they know I'm the one guy that does it all, man. If they need me, you know, from hip hop to pop to rock. You know, because I love all genres of music, man. So it comes natural to me. So being, you know, affiliated with a company like iHeartRadio has just been, you know, a beautiful thing, man. It works hand in hand. It's a beautiful relationship.
Yeah, and you know, if anyone from iHeart is watching this, they've been reaching out to us recently because, you know, we want to make another partnership. I'm gonna be real with you, we're a little broke. Like, we can't afford them Jingle Ball spot tickets and stuff. Y'all want to give us a discount? Let me know.
Listen, I'm gonna see who I can speak to. All right, I'm gonna see who I can speak to. You got
perfect.
Listen, you got my direct phone number, man. You hit me up.
There you go. Next thing you know, you're gonna see New York City Men Teach DJ Whutever take over Jingle Ball. I'm gonna be happy.
Listen, we'll do it. Take over Jingle Ball in the iHeart Music Festival in Vegas. Let's make it happen.
Oh, listen, man. You just said like the curse word. You said in Vegas. So next thing you know, my whole team's gonna be like, "Where's Side? Don't worry about it."
Let's do it, man. I do that event every year in Vegas as well, and I'm also a part of the Jingle Ball.
Really?
Z100's Jingle Ball.
That's crazy. How has that been? I guess working those events in terms of, just how is it? Like, how do you feel working those events?
Oh, I feel amazing, man. Like, you realize this is a. I still look at myself as a kid from the South Bronx that asked my mother for a pair of turntables. So I literally feel I'm blessed, man. I literally feel like I'm getting paid to do something that I would do for free. Like for years and years, I DJ'd in my bedroom for free. So now you're just putting tons of people. So whether it's the iHeart Music Festival where I have 20,000 people in front of me, or whether it's the pre-party to the Jingle Ball at Hammerstein Ballroom where we still have thousands of people in front of me, like it's just fun, man. It's fun making people feel good. It's fun seeing people move and have fun and smile and put their hands up and hold signs up, you know, looking for Elvis Duran and you know, and also cool for me, man, having relationships with people like Elvis Duran and you know, different people, DJ Clue and guys who I listened to, you know, growing up. So I mean, it's amazing, man. I couldn't write it a different way.
And you know, to backtrack a little bit, I want to ask you mentioned your academies. So walk us through kind of what your academies do and what's the mission of those academies.
Well, the mission, man, is to inspire. You know what I mean? The mission is to expose, you know, like, you know, it's the Whatever It Takes DJ Academy, which I'm the founder and CEO of. And I mean, we go into these schools, man, with the turntables, with the curriculum, and we're showing these kids, I mean, how to DJ. Like, the number one thing that these kids are inspired by a lot of times is the music. Yeah. So actually bringing in the turntables and, you know, man, turntables and DJing is all STEM, man. You know, it's all science, it's all technology, it's all math. So being able to expose these kids to that, you know, in a certain form, it's kind of like giving the kids, you know, a nice meal and mixing in the vegetables. You get what I mean?
It's like you blend up the veggies and put it in.
Yeah, blend up the veggies. You get what I mean? Because it's all STEM. So a lot of times, you know, they're influenced by the music. They're able to manipulate the music. So it's been beautiful, man. But it's all about exposing these kids to different opportunities. Because honestly, man, I don't know if I'm gonna hit you with a world premiere, but growing up, bro, I wasn't the best student. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I got 2 college degrees. I'm grateful for that, but it wasn't until I got to Mitchell College that I actually got my stuff together. And the real reason I feel for that is, bro, I wasn't if we want to be brutally honest, I wasn't interested in nothing they were teaching me.
Yeah.
I didn't care about math. I'm still not the best at math. You get what I mean? I didn't care about the science. I didn't care about, even though I'm a history. No, I did kind of care about history. I love history. But, you know, I didn't care about a lot of the stuff that I was being taught. You get what I mean? So, you know, with these kids, a lot of times I feel like it's the same thing. You get what I mean? Like they need to learn different things. They need to be exposed to different opportunities. I'm the one that, you know, that tells these kids, even when we doing this class, like, all right, you got a lot of kids that want to be rappers, or you got a lot of kids that want to be the NBA professional basketball player. They don't understand that the NBA is a whole business. There's a whole bunch of, LeBron James needs a bunch of people on his team. So even if you don't grow to be 6'8", and be able to dunk on everybody, you still can have opportunities to play in the NBA. If you love music like me, but I wasn't gifted enough to rap, don't ask me to rap or sing anything right now. I can't even do it in the shower. My son screams, damn it, shut up. You get what I mean? You know, but there's opportunities in the music industry without you being the rapper or the singer. But because that isn't in the forefront, these kids don't know it. You get what I mean? So,
same thing like with education. Like for me personally, like I was a teacher for a little bit, and I got my whole degree in English education actually, 7 through 12. So I could literally go teach right now in high school. But the thing is, a lot of people when they think about education, they just think teacher, principal, superintendent, like that's it. But in reality, there's so many things you can do in the sense of like for me, I felt that I loved teaching. But again, I just didn't think that it was my speed. But there's so many different things I could have done in education, which is why I'm here today. This is still furthering the work of education, diversity in education. But these are just like the behind the scenes things that a lot of people don't see.
Yeah, no, which is great, man. So, you know, for me and my team to go in there with the turntables, like I said, we do workshops, you know, at all the different schools. So if anybody wants to reach out to me that they're seeing this, they want to workshop at their elementary or their middle school or their high school anywhere in New York, you know, we can make that happen. And, you know, we just educate and empower the youth. Like, that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? And then, like I mentioned, separate to that, we have one where we work with, you know, agencies that deal with people with disabilities, and that's been uplifting as well, man. So, again, whether we're dealing with individuals with disabilities or just the youth out here, you know, it's just empowering, man. Empowering, inspiring, uplifting. Like, that's what I'm all about, and my team is all about.
And you know, that reminds me of one day, well, not one day, but one summer I was teaching in the Bronx, and they actually brought right. I was by 3rd Ave, I think 3rd Ave, like 149th Street or something like that. But the thing is, when we were doing our summer school programming, they actually brought in, and I forget the name of this company, but they brought in people to teach the kids about lyricism, how to write lyrics, and how to, like, you know, kind of write your own song, so to speak, and give them a chance to engage in music. And the thing that I realized with that is sometimes I had kids in my class that they didn't seem too interested in certain topics, but when you mention things that they were interested in, that's when you saw their eyes light up, and they're like, oh shit, I actually want to learn a little bit more about this. So then when I look at that, I see the fact that if you don't expose a child to the variety of things that there are in the world, and you just focus on 4 core subjects, well, if that child, like, there's a chance they may not fit into those 4 boxes. So why limit them to 4 boxes? Because then, it's like this Albert Einstein quote I read. It's if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll live its whole life thinking it's stupid. Same thing with kids. If you judge their abilities and their latent talent based on a set of rigid curriculums, you're never going to know what they're truly capable of. But by giving them that creative outlet early on, then you may know. Like when I was in high school, we had a journalism club. So in that journalism club, I had a friend, and he loved photography. He's actually, you know, the dude who's producing my podcast right now. And he was the one who was taking all the photos, doing all the videos, did all the editing, cutting, production. But he was exposed to that at that age, where he was able to realize, like, yo, even though he had an inkling of it prior to, then he realized, oh, I want to do this shit more. But it's only because we had that outlet. We were able to play around, experiment, see what was for us and what was not. Because growing up, the thing that we should really be giving these children the ability to do is fail. But fail with grace. That way, if you realize, okay, this isn't for me, cool. You can always find something that you like. But the this isn't for me isn't, oh, this isn't for me because it's too hard. because you don't got a passion for it. But by letting them have that option to try multiple things and see what they relate to and what they don't, I think that's how we really can set up children for success.
100%, man. Like, you know, I think we mentioned it maybe prior, but you know, I have a son that's 10, and you know, some of the things that I ask him sometimes is, hey, what did you fail at today? You know, and I say that to him just to get that in his head, man, that failing at something isn't a bad thing. You get what I mean? Because like you said, our kids grow up a lot of times, or a lot of us are still trying to reverse things of, you know, of being afraid to fail, which leads to us being afraid to try. You know what I mean? So it's stuff like that, even like I said with my son, man, that I work on. But you know, all of that leads to, man, to why I'm going into these schools and why I'm trying to impact the youth, man, and you know, and just have a positive impact and show them someone, you know, like we mentioned in these communities, show someone that looks like them, man, that probably went through a lot of the same struggles that they went through, who's successful and who's having an impact and who's, you know, doing different things, man. That's why it's so important to me.
And, you know, the whole failure aspect, I'll just say this one last thing, is the fact that the people that I've met that have been the most successful, they tell me straight up they're the biggest losers. Yeah. Because you got to lose so much before you actually get something to perfection. I think there was a statistic where, like, you need at least 10,000 hours devoted to something to develop that mastery level of it. But within those 10,000 hours, it's not going to be 10,000 hours of straight wins. The thing is, when you zoom out and you look at things at a 1 year, 5 year, 10 year basis, the line is going to look linear. It's going to look like, you know, it's constant. But in reality, when you zoom in, you'll see all the little bumps, the troughs, the valleys. You'll see the times where you're just at your lowest lows and your peaks. And sometimes you may have nothing but lowest lows for like 5, 6, however long. But then that one win can just explode into something much bigger.
Yeah, they got people. We got to be prepared to weather the storm, man. But like you said, people who you know, who don't understand that, they're too scared to risk that. They don't want to go through no storm. They want the sunny Aruba weather every single day, and that's not how life works, man. We're gonna go through trials, we're gonna go through tribulations, we're gonna go through things, you know what I mean? But teaching our youth and to be able to weather that storm, man, that's important. We're gonna go through peaks and valleys. That's with everything from career to family to financial stuff to unfortunate, you know, deaths and things that are gonna happen in our life. But you know, that's the beauty of life, man, having the ability to be able to bounce back and come back and do big and better things. It's funny you mentioned
the death piece, because like now that made me think about, like, so when I was a teacher, what I would used to do all the time with my kids in homeroom is talk about our feelings, our emotions. Sometimes I'll tell them, like, straight up, I'm not having a good day. Like, I slept mad late, I woke up late or something. I would just tell them I'm not feeling good. Some days I feel great. But then that gave them a sense of, like, openness, vulnerability. Like, the adult in the room, the dude who's teaching us, is opening up about how he's not feeling good every day. Some days are harder than others. So one day I had this kid who was telling me about, like, a loss in their family, and that shit really tugged at my heartstrings. I felt so bad. But then I felt bad, but I didn't want to coddle the child. I wanted to tell them, it's okay that you feel this way and you don't need to hide it, because they were trying to hide it. And I was like, you don't need to. Just let it out. Let this pass. Let it run its course. If you try to unnecessarily stop something from running its course, you're never going to heal from it in the future. So the type of emotional advice that I'd give my children, I realized that's what children need too. Like, the content-specific shit is great. Don't get me wrong. Like, you got to learn all this stuff to get your degree and to go to higher ed or do whatever, you know, venture you want to do. But no matter what you do, if you don't really heal, like, your inner child and you're not okay with yourself emotionally, it's always going to resurface one way or another in the future.
Agreed, man. Agreed. Bro, everything you just said is spot on. You know what I mean? We want everybody to develop emotionally well, and that's the same thing that you're saying, man. That's the same way I am with my kid, bro. I'm like, let your feelings out, man. Like, let's talk. You know what I mean? Tell me about your day. Tell me what you failed at. Tell me what you did good at. Tell me, you know, just tell me about your entire day. And that's how I kind of am. I just, you know, I always had that relationship with my mom where we able to talk, and you know, although she's my mother and, you know, my grandmother who recently passed away. Miss my grandmother. She was amazing, but we were able to talk, man. She was my grandmother. I couldn't play around and disrespect her.
Yeah.
My face might have got smacked off, but at the same time, we had the relationship that I was able to express myself to her. I was able to cry if I needed to, and all of that's important, man, in the development of our youth.
And and that's beautiful. And I want to move to something a little bit more lighthearted, which is like, and sometimes I feel bad. Sometimes, like, when we're talking like a great topic, I'm like, shit, now I don't want to ask the next question. That just seems like totally out of left field. But I want to ask you, like, what was your proudest accomplishment in your career?
Man, honestly, that's a question I don't really know. Like, my proudest accomplishment. I mean, fresh off the, me just mentioning my grandmother, it would I don't know if it's one specific thing, but it's her acknowledging and like how proud of me she was. You know what I mean? Like, I know how proud of me she was and how she used to like to show me off, whether it be my flyers or she would get excited when we would go somewhere and somebody would recognize me, like, hey, DJ Whutever, and she would be like, oh, my grandson. You get what I mean? Like, that probably, like, I know, I might be going off from what your question was, but that was, I think it was the whole, everything together, and her knowing, what it was that I did, and her telling me she listened to me on the radio, or she heard my voice on the radio, and her just being super proud of me because she was there my whole life. You know what I mean? So that's probably it. I can't think of one specific thing, man. I feel like LeBron, like when he was just sitting at the podium and they were talking to him about thinking back on everything. He's like, I'll be able to think back on everything when I retire.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's because, it's similar with what we're all doing. Like, we're so in the midst of accomplishing what it is that we want, and then every few years maybe our dreams because that's how I view dreams, man.
Yeah.
Like, you have a dream, you accomplish that dream, now create another one. You get what I mean? Like, once you accomplish your dream, I've accomplished my dream plenty of times. I had to create another one. And I feel like that's how we continue to live and how we continue to evolve. Like, I want to be 80 years old. Like, all right, I accomplished this dream. What's the next one? You get what I mean?
It's funny because I think it was a Denzel Washington speech I was listening to recently, where he was like, someone was telling him, when you die and you're on your deathbed, you're surrounded by the ghosts of your unfulfilled potentials. And they look at you and they say, well, look at what you made me. Now we're all going to die together and go to the grave together. But you could have made me a reality. You could have made me come to life.
That's deep.
So then that made me think, like, when it came to dreams, goals, etc., whatever dreams I had 5 years ago, I've accomplished them.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean, okay, just chill out, be done with it. Because if you are, then you reach a period of stagnation.
Yeah.
You're not going to grow anymore from your previous self's version of what you want it to be. But if you've already achieved that, you have to keep not moving the goalpost, but wanting bigger and better for yourself.
100%.
Whether it's spiritually, financially, mentally, whatever it is, anything is better than nothing.
100%.
Because once we lose that dream, that goal setting, then we're not really living, we're just existing.
Exactly. And that's a place that you never want to be. You know what I mean? You never want to be, man. Like I said earlier, man, either you evolve or you die. You have to be pushing for something, man. Like you said, spiritually, financially, educationally. You know what I mean? At becoming a better mother, father, grandfather. Just, you got to be pushing towards something, man. So, I'm glad to know that's how you made up. It's similar to me. That's why we get along so well.
And it's funny too, because when you tell me about the accomplishment thing, I have like a similar thing. I love what my mom's telling all her friends and aunties and uncles, like, oh, look at my son. And I don't even have to send her the video. She's pulled it up on YouTube.
Yeah, same thing with my mom. Yeah. It's like, when they're able to show off a little bit, like, that makes you proud because you realize that they're proud.
Yeah.
They're proud that, of the men that we've become, the men that they've raised. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why I said when you asked me that question, it's like that was the first thing, of course, coming fresh off of talking about my grandmother, that was the first thing that came to mind. But thinking of one specific thing, I'm like,
yeah, I feel you.
Because we still just getting started.
I love that. And now on the flip side, I want to ask you, what was your biggest challenges in your career?
Oh,
because we can't talk about the trials without the tribulations.
Yeah. I think for a lot of years, to be honest, man, I think you look at other people who are successful in your field and you try to emulate them.
Yeah.
Instead of truly looking in the mirror at yourself and realizing that it's only one you. So I think for a lot of years, that was something that I was caught up in. You know what I mean? Like trying to follow other people instead of just saying like, you're pretty dope.
Yeah.
and come fully into who DJ Whutever Cornell is and give that to the world. You know what I mean? And that's when, like I said, when I fully tapped into that, that's when I started to do my DJ workshops in the schools. That's when I started to run my DJ Academy, DJ Interview Academy for people with disabilities. That's when I started to tap into different things and different blessings started coming into me, because it was like, okay, yeah, now you're tapping into who you are, and like you mentioned earlier, like the true gifts, because we all man have different gifts and different abilities. Like I can't be you can't be me. You get what I mean? There's certain things that I'm sure you're gifted at that even if I tried and studied, I just could never do, vice versa. You know what I mean? So I think for me, one of my biggest challenges, man, was trying to go after trying to be like this person or that person, and in the DJ game, radio game especially, that was my main focus for a lot of years. How do I become the best, biggest DJ? How do I do more clubs than this person, do more this than that person? And you really realize at the end, man, that really don't matter.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that piece, because I had a similar thing too, where it's like whenever you're on the come up, you always want to, I feel like people do this no matter where they are in their career field. They always look at the people who are already there. And then they think, okay, if they did this, let me try to emulate that.
Yeah.
But in that process of emulation, there's always an inflection point where you realize, I can't emulate this. Not because maybe you don't have the ability to emulate it, but it's because emulating that means you're just a copy. Exactly. It means you're not you. It means you're just going to be living in someone's shadow. Because someone will always be able to do it better than you because you're copying the original.
Exactly.
So like even for me, there was a point when I realized, I'm like, even though I'm trying to emulate X or Y, I just got to do whatever I do. But I can take pieces, like what I typically do. Like when I look at all these people, when I meet all these people and I talk to them, I take a little bit from everybody. I take a little bit of experience from everyone I've met. The way I look at it, I'm an accumulation of all the people I've met and all the people that have mentored me with my own ideology then mixed into it. Because then that's what determines what I want to move forward with and what I don't want to move forward with.
100%, man. Like that's how we have to move. You know what I mean? I'm taking a little bit of your information, you taking a little bit of my information, and then we mix it in, because that's, what it comes down to, man, is like you mentioned earlier, like we're learning.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Like your life experiences are different than mine. Your knowledge on certain things, and I know we've had different conversations, but you have certain knowledge on things that I would like to be more knowledgeable about, and I'm sure vice versa. You know what I mean? That's why we said we're gonna do a nice lunch soon. You know what I mean?
Listen, man, all I know is that when it comes to food and drinks, I'm always down.
We with it. We gonna set that up. So but it's that's what it's all about, man. Is and like we said earlier, man, your network determines your net worth. You know what I mean?
Go.
So, the more the merrier, man. You want to surround yourself with like-minded people, bro, that are driven, that just want to accomplish something. You know what I mean? You don't have to want to accomplish the same things.
Exactly.
But people who are driven. You know what I mean? I want to meet everybody, from the doctor to the lawyer to the person who has a business cleaning floors to cleaning pool. Like, I want to meet you because I can learn from you. We can pick each other's brains, and we similar. We just all are doing it in a different way.
And I'm glad you mentioned the net worth is your network is your net worth piece, because now, mentees, you can't be surprised if you see me in the cut out these album listening parties and these booths and be like, how do you get there? Don't worry about it.
Listen, we already said you're gonna be in Vegas, right?
Say less.
You said we're gonna be partying in Vegas, so we're gonna keep that off the record. But yeah, we already said so. I'm not mad at that.
I say less. And then it's funny because sometimes I got like an internal timer in my head. I'm like, all right, I want to make sure the episode ends ends in a timely manner so that we don't got to cut too much for our cable debuts. But we're actually nearing the end of our segment right now.
Okay.
So I want to have two final
that was
things.
fast.
I know,
man.
right? I mean, time flies when you're having a good time, aren't you?
You're having great conversations, man. And we didn't even have no food and no
Yo, for real,
no
right?
beverages here. So
listen, I wish we had like the rated R version, like a Drink Champs version of this. I'd be down,
definitely, man.
I'd have to, tell them, can we write a separate budget code line for White Henny?
Come on, NYC men's teachers, let's make it happen.
But the question I want to ask you is, if you could go back in time and do anything different, whether it's personally or professionally, would you or would you not?
If I could go back in time, would I do anything more professionally? You said professionally or personally?
Or personally, like different.
Yeah, the only thing, man, is spend more time with loved ones, man. You get what I mean? Sometimes when I don't know if your story is similar to mine, but when you're as driven as you are, right, you kind of have blinders on, man. So it's like family, other, loved ones, maybe girlfriends, things of that sort, like they're there and they're part, but man, you like this. You got that tunnel vision. You know what I mean? And being more present when in those times. You get what I mean? Cutting the phone off.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Putting the phone down, saying, all right, I'm chilling with moms, I'm chilling with grandma, I'm chilling with my brother, I'm chilling with my sister, and we're actually locked in. Not everybody sitting at the dinner table on their phones, texting.
Right.
Like, that's one of the things that annoy me, about us right now. So I mean, if anything, man, it would be that. It was not much about my story that I would ever change, but I think looking back, it's like, man, these memories, you go back and you with certain people, and it's like just truly just locking in.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because I have the same thing. Because when I had my first company, I was starting that, all I cared about was making more money, making more money. And then I look back at those years, I'm like, sure, the money was there, but the money would have came anyway. What I can't get back is the fact that, I can't take back the fact that I didn't spend more time with some of my loved ones. And like nowadays, that's what I do too. I'm like, I have a strict, like, after 5, after whatever, unless it's like dire emergency, don't contact me. It's just like, I'm done. Because now I need to not put in the work, but put in the effort for the familial side. And there's one thing that I was talking to somebody, and they told me, it's that a lot of people, they delude themselves into thinking that when they work so hard and they grind so hard for their family, and they use the excuse, I'm doing it for my family, but then they don't spend time with their family, then what are you really doing it for? How can you give them a good life, so to speak, if you're not in their lives? At that point, you're just the one orchestrating the life, but you're not going to even enjoy it.
Yeah, and like you said, man, you hitting on some key points. Hopefully, people are picking up and learning. But all of that stuff, man, from locking in, spending time with your family. If you say you truly care about your family, like, for me, all of that stuff goes deep, man. Like even as far as like health and wellness, man. Like we're spending 20 hours a day or however many hours a day working and saying that we care about our family and we're making money. We're not spending no time on our health. If we want to be here for our family that we love so much, let's make sure we also working out some. Let's make sure we're eating a little more healthy. Like we have the data at this point to know that the stuff that we're putting in our bodies and lack of exercise and all of this stuff is not allowing us to be here long enough to enjoy these families that we're working for. Yeah. So everything kind of aligns and adds up. You know what I mean? Let's
Same thing with like kids too. Like there's like a theory, and it's been proven, like food deserts. So you said like you grew up in the South Bronx. Like when I taught in the South Bronx, I always noticed a stark difference between Queens, Manhattan, and then in the Bronx, right? Like I would see in Queens, okay, we had some like grocery stores, they had vegetables, this, that, whatever. Manhattan, yeah, nothing but like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, this or whatever. Whenever I taught in the Bronx, all I saw was nothing but unhealthy options near the school. And when you think about that, a lot of kids, when they come into school, if they're agitated, irate, or this or whatever, it's because if you're pumping your body for all these empty calories, junk food, what have you, can't even focus on what you're going to learn.
Sad. It's set up like that, man. It's bad. We have to figure out some ways, man, to to address those issues, because like you said, if it starts from youth, man, and it goes into adulthood, that's why we're having the obesity crisis and the high blood pressure. The things that are heavy in our community are starting from childhood, and we grow into adulthood, and I had a similar issue. Like, I was hospitalized maybe about 2 years ago for my blood pressure, and I remember sitting in the hospital, man, and I'm thinking, like, I'm too young. Like,
yeah.
Bro, why am I in the hospital with them doing a whole bunch of checks on me because of my blood pressure? Yeah, because I'm out here DJing, leaving the club late at night, and I'm eating crazy.
Yeah.
You get
like
what I
some
mean?
halal food or some shit like that.
Bro,
yeah.
I'm eating crazy. So now when I sit here and I say, I have a 10-year-old, well, at the time, my son was probably like 6, 7, but that I'm working so hard to provide for, but I'm not going to be here because of the things that I'm deciding to eat. Like, come on, bro. It doesn't make sense. So I said, let me change my ways, man. Let me start working out. Let me start making healthier options. Let me start eating better because I want to be here. So I just think, going back to what you said, man, in regards to the food options that are available in certain neighborhoods, like my neighborhood, the South Bronx, it's tough, man, and hopefully, we can do something about it, man, to address it and hopefully educate these communities, and most importantly, put different options in these neighborhoods.
Exactly. Because, old habits die hard. Like, even for me growing up, like, my parents, they would pack me lunch. But oftentimes they'd always, and I hate them to this day for it, because it gave me like an addiction to like sweets. Because now I don't even like sweets like that. So when I was a kid, I couldn't even fathom the fact that I had a shit ton of cavities. All I kept downing was mad candy. All they would pack in like my lunch, zebra cakes, Hostos, Twinkies, some shit like that.
You trying to make me run to a bodega when we get out of here, man? No, I understand it. You know what I mean? Like, same thing, similar for me, because a lot of our parents, grandparents, they didn't know. You know what I mean? So it's like we can't really blame them. But now it's like we have the knowledge.
Right. So then now if we don't change, then it's just like willful ignorance. And we're just like, what, screw the kids. Because at this point, you're right. We do have the knowledge and data to know, all right, you know what? Like, if I ever have a kid, no soda. Like, what I'll do is I get a whole bunch of water and put 1 drop of soda in there and be like, that's your soda.
And don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, I still might have a little pack of Sour Patch Kids. You know what I mean? It's just not bugging out the way that I used to. You know what I mean? Now is I might go a few days without eating meat or getting some smoothies and things, that just mixing in more of the healthy options. Because when I was looking, I was like, man, I was a single dude out here just eating crazy, man. So, it all works, man, hand in hand, bro. And we all, that's like we said, that the evolution of life, like, we're learning, and that's the key, man. Like, that's the key, that we want to continue to learn, we want to continue to grow. So I know even earlier we mentioned like financial, spiritual, but even even stuff like this with food and things of that sort, man. Like, I'm a sponge for just learning, man, and getting more knowledgeable, because that's what I think we all, is part of our journey, man.
I'm glad that you mentioned even like the health aspect too, because the one thing I'll say is that if we really want to teach our kids to be great global citizens, you got to really feed every facet of what a child needs developmentally. Like, even for me, sometimes I look back at my upbringing, I'm like, damn, I wish I had a little bit more in this arena. I wish I had a little bit more in that arena. I have a lot of content knowledge, but when it came to my financial literacy, I didn't even know how to do my taxes to my 20s. When it came to eating right and cooking, like, I started cooking like for myself a little bit when I was 18, but it wasn't until now I'm older, I'm like, all right, I cook way more. But then even though I cook, I have some colleagues, friends, or whoever, they should eat out nonstop. And I'm like, like, here's some recipes. Like, this is my favorite one to make, chicken parm, hella easy, whatever. But again, all these things that we could be teaching our children, I feel like if we do, then they would just be so inspired, empowered to just carry the torch and then give it on to the next generation. But again, I think that's the burden that we're going to have to bear, being the ones that are in charge and have had that upbringing.
Listen, it's what we have to do, man. It's what we have to do. It's our responsibility, man. We got a lot of stuff to cover and to handle. So,
and with that being said, I feel like that's like the perfect segment to round off the episode. So what I'm going to ask you is, if there's anyone you want to shout out, anyone you want to thank, feel free to look in your camera and give them your shout outs and love.
I want to shout out everybody from parents to family to anybody who supported me to now the New York Mets. You catch me at Citi Field sometime. Everybody, man. Everybody who's just supported me through the journey. And shout to all of the schools, all the universities. Again, need me out there for a workshop, any of that sort, please reach out. They'll get my info from my man right here.
Oh man, you know what? This was thank you really for coming on this episode, dropping these gems. And honestly, I always love it when I have like a great synergy with my guests, and I hope none of my other guests get a little jealous. But I really love the vibe, the energy that we had today. And Definitely. With that being said, I really want to thank you, everybody. We had DJ Whutever, Cornell pull up today. You can find his information in the bio. And with that being said, that does wrap up episode 3 of season 2. We'll see you guys for the next episode. Take care.
We'll be partying in Vegas soon too.